Hey everybody, it's Elise, and it's Wednesday, and I'm here to shed a little wisdom. And before we even start, I want to apologize. They're doing repair work in my building today, or painting or something, and it's extremely noisy. So if this interferes with the sound, I apologize. There's nothing I can do about it, but hopefully this won't interrupt your ability to hear me. Hopefully not, because I'm powerless. So what can I say? Anyway, happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. I am Elise Tager. I'm a business coach for ambitious female entrepreneurs. And I want to talk to you today about a small part of the sales process that is probably the most important part of the sales process. So if you're joining me live, please, I'm on StreamYard. So as I do every week, I ask you to please put a comment in the comment section with your name so I can see who you are. Otherwise, I have no idea. And on StreamYard, it just shows up as Facebook user, and that doesn't help me. It doesn't help you. So since I like to be talking to people, not at them, drop a comment that tells me who you are and what your name is in the comment section, and I will be able to see that. If you are watching the replay, welcome. Same for you. If you would just drop, actually on the replay, I can see who you are. But if you are watching the replay, please don't hesitate to drop comments in the comment section. I always circle back. Hey, Ginger, nice to see you. I always circle back to answer any questions or continue the conversation or what have you. So you're not alone. I'm here to answer your questions and be with you. So this is a long training today, a long-ish training today. It's probably around 30 minutes, maybe even longer. So hopefully this will be helpful enough that you're willing to stick with me till the bitter end. So let's get started. Ginger, I'm so glad you're here. And anyone else who's joining me today, drop your name in the comment section so I know who you are. So today we're going to talk about the title of this is Close More Sales with Discovery Calls. So if you need to close more of your leads to become actual clients, which is the whole idea, there's a method to the madness. And a well-conducted discovery call should get you a 50% to 80% close rate. It's not salesy, it's not slimy, it's authentic and productive for both parties. So if your attitude about sales is, I hate it, or I don't do it well, and actually most of the clients I work with and have worked with in the past tell me that they love what they do, but they hate sales. You know, and spoiler alert, if you're not good at sales, you're not going to close business and you're not going to exist for very long. So being comfortable with the sales process and especially closing leads, which is what a discovery call will do for you, is exactly what you get your arms around. So that's why I wanted to take the time to present this to you all, because it's such an important piece of the whole sales process. So the sales process is longish. Let me assume that you already have a lead or several leads. However you've gotten them, whether it's with ads or you've connected with people in social media or they've reached out to you in an email to you. But let's assume that you have a lead that has agreed to be on a call with you. And let's also assume, again, these are earlier part of the sales process, you've established a rapport with them, you've had a bit of conversation in advance, you've warmed them up, they've interacted with you such that you're both a little more comfortable with each other, and they've agreed to have a sales or a discovery call with you. So that's the piece I want to drill down on today. There's a lot preceding this, there's a lot post this, but the discovery call and the process, the discovery call itself, the proposal and the close are the things that I want to talk about today. Okay, again, if you're with me, I see people are coming on now. Put your name in the comment section so I know who you are, because otherwise you just show up as Facebook user in the comments. So drop a comment in the comment section. Okay, let's get going. All right, so build it, first of all, building a rapport on the outside is critical. You want to make sure that your prospect is comfortable and that you're at ease, right? It's a two-way street here. If you have hesitation in your voice, if you're not comfortable, if you're hesitant, that's going to show up in how you present yourself and in your voice. So you want to make sure that you're building rapport so that you are both at ease. In fact, I spend a lot of time on my discovery calls building rapport if I feel it's needed, because it's the foundation for a happy and easy yes, right? As long as you are both comfortable, especially your prospect is comfortable, it's much easier for you to take them down the path that you're going to take them on in that discovery call. So, and let me just preface this also by saying I absolutely love discovery calls. First of all, I love sales, but the discovery call process in particular, I love because to me, it feels like I'm playing Sherlock Holmes. This is your time to listen. This is your time to ask questions that are going to get the answers out of your prospect that educate you about what their needs are, what the gap is. This is where they want to be. This is where they are. This is where they want to be. And by asking them the right questions, you will have them explain to you what's missing in their process and how you can provide solutions to them. So it's important that you get them talking and that you be able to shut your mouth and listen. So this discovery calls are not the time to sell, which sounds counterintuitive, but it's really important. This is about uncovering a prospect's biggest problem or struggle or need. This is your chance to understand them and how you can better tailor your offer or how you can present your offer to meet their particular needs. So you will spend 80% of your time listening and 20% of your time talking. It might even be 90-10, right? So your job then is to have open ears, ask the leading questions, and then zip your lip and answer to what they have to say. So let me walk you through that process because, as I say, it can be done well and it can be done clumsily. So the first thing you want to do is think about pre-framing. You want to create safety and warmth and spend time on that in the beginning. People will be much more candid and revealing if they feel safe. If you've asked permission throughout, you've given them a feeling of safety. You're not going to bash them over the head with sales. So remember, they're nervous, and you might be too. But I hope that subsides as you do more of these, and I certainly hope it subsides as you continue the conversation. So let's talk about that pre-framing. Let's talk about what it might look like. So you might say, thanks for making the time to chat with me today. We're scheduled for a 30-minute talk. So again, you're letting them know how long they can expect to be on the call with you. So there are no surprises, and it's also not open-ended. So you aren't there for an hour and a half chatting with this person. We are scheduled to have a 30-minute conversation. Does this work with your schedule? You're asking a question. And all of these steps in the discovery call, you're going to be asking permission to go to the next step. And again, that builds trust, it builds comfort. You're not delivering without being allowed to deliver. So then go into asking permission. So you've established the time frame. The purpose of the call today is to find out a little more about you and how I might be a good resource for you. I'm going to start with a few quick questions. Feel free to ask me any questions along the way. And at the end of our chat, we can discuss ways we can work together if we both feel we're a good fit. Does that sound like a plan? And again, I'm giving you my verbiage. You are going to tweak this so it sounds like your voice. Once you've said, does this sound like a plan? You want to pause and give them a chance to respond. You want to make sure they're engaged. You want to make sure they're still comfortable. And you want to make sure that you've got their permission to continue the conversation. At any point in the discovery call, if it feels like you are bashing them over the head with your sales message, you're going to lose them. You're going to lose rapport. So it's important that you continue to hold the door open and invite them through with an invitation. So the perfect tone of the discovery call is when the prospect feels relaxed, open and knows what to expect next, right? So that's something to keep in mind, is that you're pre-framing what's going to happen along the way. Everybody with me? Great. Okay. One caveat, and this is probably the most important thing about a discovery call: don't coach. Don't give away your services during this interaction. It's called discovery. It's called a discovery call for a reason. You are not there to coach them. That is not the purpose of the call. You might be tempted because you can see where you could provide value. You can see where you could solve something easily, but you are not there to coach. The point of the call is to get information from them that will allow you to make an offer to them that is most likely that they will want to say yes to. So that's the pre-framing. Let's talk about the questions, because as I say, the questions are what are going to get you the answers that you need to ascertain whether you are a good fit. Remember, this is a two-way street. Everybody who knocks on your door is not necessarily someone that you want to work with, right? Hopefully you're not at the stage in your business where you have to say yes to everybody, right? That happens maybe in the first few months, but you should be discerning about who you want to work with. So you want to ask your questions such that you get that kind of an answer. So let's talk about your questions. First of all, don't have too many. You don't want to scare anybody away. So each question should be focused on uncovering needs and give you more info on what you can propose to that person. So each of your questions should be strategic for you to figure out if they are a good fit for what you have to offer. This is going to be different for all of your businesses. Ginger, I know that you're offering a whole array of services, but at the end of the day, there are certain people, certain prospects that are going to fit into that sweet spot of yours, and others that are going to fall outside of it. So when you start deciding what your 6 questions are going to be, 4, 6, whatever you're going to offer or ask, make sure that your questions are such that once you get an answer, you're pre-qualifying them with what you need to understand if they're in your sweet spot or not. You want to control the conversation so that the prospect does not go off on tangents, wasting time, or ask for specific help on the call. Let me slow that down a second. Remember, you said this is going to be a 30-minute call. You're in charge. You have to you're steering the ship. You have to make sure that if you have someone on the phone with you who is a talker, who's a chatty Cathy, you need to be able to comfortably say, let's stay on track. Do I talk about that later? Let's stay on track so we can get what you want answered by the end of this 30 minutes. You've got to control the people who are chatty Cathys. You can't let this go on forever. Waste of your time, waste of their time. So be sure to take notes while you're asking these questions. You may want to refer back to them as you're presenting your proposal. Now, Ginger, you say, I'm very selective about my clients. I review my ideal customer profile quarterly. Good, good. So many people don't, Ginger. That's why I'm glad to hear you say that. And you don't want to spend time with either on the phone or saying yes to a person who's really not going to be a good fit. So be sure you're taking notes, and this is important. You want to take notes on how they're answering your question using the exact words that they say, right? So the most impactful communication is when you can come back to someone and use the words that they said. So later on in your conversation, you're going to be saying, you told me that, and fill in the words that they told you about what that gap is or what that issue is, right? The more you use if you can use their exact words, they'll go, oh, how did she know? Or, oh, she really gets me, right? So try not to rephrase. Try to use the exact words that they have said throughout the conversation. This is why it's important for you to take notes so that you're taking down their language, not your language. If you find they are not a good fit, right, whether that's one sentence into the conversation or one question into the conversation, or you're halfway done. Make sure to get them off the call as quickly as possible. Direct them to your blog or some kind of free content, or maybe you've got a referral partner that you can direct them to. Or if this would be the time to refer them to someone else who might be a better fit for you. Again, you're the one to decide whether this is someone that you would want to work with. The older I get, the more I can smell this from the get-go. If this is someone I don't want to work with, it usually pops up right away in a variety of ways. But if you feel that you can discern that this is someone that you would not want to spend your coaching time or your delivery time on, make sure you are able to terminate the conversation quickly. You don't want to lead them on. You don't want to spend your time. Just make sure that you can give them something else that will get them off the phone politely, but fairly quickly. So once you've completed those questions, now is the time once again to ask permission. And you've been taking notes, you've asked 4, 5, 6 questions. Again, you don't want to dig too deeply, because that's what you do in either coaching or when they start to become your customer. That's when you dig deep. This is the purpose of this first front end section, is to see what their needs are and if you can meet it. So once you've completed those questions, now is the time once again to ask permission before you go forward. And that might look like, I think we'd work very well together. Would you like to hear more about that? So you're not just slamming forward with a proposal or telling them that you can work with. It's a different tone. And again, it's how you couch that. Would you like to hear more about that? Make sure your voice is an uptick on the end of that sentence, because you're being open, you're inviting them. Remember the word inviting with all of this. And then again, pause and wait to hear their answer. If they say no, don't push the sale. Exit gracefully. This is where my training in high tech in Silicon Valley years ago with those sales animals, it's a much different sales conversation, right? It's if they say no, I'm fine, thanks, that's enough. Don't push. Exit gracefully. Thanks for your time. If I can help you anytime in the future, please don't hesitate to call. Or may I contact you again in another few months? However you want to phrase it. If they say no, honor that and move on. If there's any way I can help you in the future, please keep me in mind. So something that's open-ended, but clearly if they said no, you want to honor that. All right, so let's get to the next. Everybody with me? Ginger, you with me? Okay. So let's get on to the next phase of the discovery call, and that's the proposal. This is where so many entrepreneurs stumble, because now you've been in information gathering mode. Now you're launching into sales mode. And many entrepreneurs are not comfortable with this. And this is where I want you to be comfortable, so that you can make the rest of the conversation as comfortable and open as the first part of the conversation was. So this step connects the client's needs with what you offer. So if on the discovery call they have yes, they would like to hear more. If they say yes, they would like to hear more about what you have to offer, then you can move into the proposal stage. You have already asked permission, so you can proceed. So here are a few pointers here. Keep in mind the notes you took during the discovery phase. If you can comfortably incorporate those in their language, this is the place to do it. So you might say, you told me that you were having trouble with XYZ or need guidance in XYZ. We could address that together by fill in the blank, right? So if you told me, people are always in agreement with something that they said, right? So you're trying to reflect back to them what they told you. So again, just to rephrase or to restate that, you told me that you were having trouble with XYZ or need guidance in XYZ. We could address that together by fill in the blank. A couple things to keep in mind here. Affordability versus need. As you're assessing what you want to propose to them, recommend what you think they need, not what you think they can afford. Many of us have a variety of offers that we can make available to any prospect that's going to knock on our door, whether it's a very high-end 12-month, coaching session that's whatever it is, $30,000, or, a single one-off fill in the blank for $97. We all have a range, but your job at this point is to listen carefully and to offer to them what you think they would need to do best to solve their issues that they brought up. Remember, you're not a mind reader. You have no idea what they can and they can't afford. And actually, it's none of your business, right? Your job is to present the most appropriate solution to your prospect. So I have several times made the mistake of deciding that my prospect can't afford what I would have liked to have been offering to them. And then they turned around and found a coach or someone who was much more expensive than I was, and they went ahead with them. So to be strictly authentic with what you're offering, you propose what you think would be the best solution for them. They can decide if they can afford it or not. So another thing that people ask me is, should you offer more than one thing? Yes, you can. If you feel that one option is the one for them, that's the one to present. However, you can give up to 3 options, but no more. You can overwhelm people. If you give them too much choice, they'll say no to everything, right? Because it's just too overwhelming. So you can give up to 3 options. I even think that's a lot, but I like to do this or that, but no more than 3 options. You want to start on presenting the most expensive one, right? Get the sticker shock over right away. But you want to give them a low, middle, and high if you're going to present multiple options. So start with the most expensive one, then ask, and then lay out the others that you're going to offer. Again, this is just in bullet points. You're not describing the whole Megillah. You're just presenting in bullet points, or maybe even a single sentence, what your options are that you're going to present to them. Then ask, based on those 3 options, what would you like to hear more about? Again, you're turning it back over to them, right? You're not launching into, let me tell you about my 12-month coaching program. Let me tell you about, the whole video creation content packaging we do for our biggest customers. You've laid out 3 options. Ask them what they want to hear more about. Then you can go into more detail about what they were intrigued about. And then talk about only that, unless they ask for more. So, well, a couple more things. Again, discounted pricing. I'm sure you've heard my point of view on this before. I don't negotiate on price or offer discounts. That's not what I do. And this is very personal to the way I conduct business. If someone is asking for a discount out of the chute, I'm probably not going to want to work with them, because they're a tire kicker. They are showing me that they don't understand my value, or maybe I haven't communicated my value well enough. But if they're already asking me for a cut price, I'm turned off by that, and I'm not so sure I want to work with them. So just, again, that's my point of view. Your price is your price and not your value, right? If someone is price shopping, she's always going to find someone cheaper. That's always the way it is. If they're looking for the best price, they'll find it somewhere else. You are not looking, you don't want, please hear me on this. You don't want to work with the bottom feeders. You just don't. They make your lives miserable. They're gonna nickel and dime you along the way. It's not pleasant for you. So if they're already gouging, they're already asking for a discount before you even open your mouth, that's a big red flag. They will never appreciate the value that you offer them. Now, if you're not comfortable with your own pricing, then let's talk, because you need to be confident in the value of your offer and stand strong in that value. So If pricing is an issue for you, if you're not comfortable in the pricing that you're going out with, this is a conversation we can have offline. Let's see. Ginger, you say, how do you respond to a person who says, I probably can't afford you? Ginger, is that after you've quoted the prices, or where? Before you hear that they hear your pricing? You know, they don't know either that they can't afford you. So it might be that this is, Ginger, this is where you offer 2 or 3 options, right? So a high, a medium, and a low, so that there is something that they can afford if you want to work with them, right? So again, you want to keep it in your camp. Yeah. So obviously, don't be heavy-handed, obviously. Don't use fear tactics. If you don't buy this, then the horrible things will happen, right? You don't want to use any of those fear tactics. Remember, you're having a friendly conversation with your prospect. Keep it that way. This is a conversation you're having. You're asking permission. You're presenting offers and options, okay? That's the tone you want to keep throughout the call. Ginger, if they've already said, I'm sure I can't afford you, or I'm afraid I can't afford you, that is something that you might have been able to pick up earlier in the conversation as you ask your questions. If she had that fear, she probably hinted at it earlier in the questions. So if that's the case, anytime a potential objection comes up in those questions you ask, I always nip it in the bud by addressing it. You know, you might, did I hear you say so-and-so? Let's talk about that. So if she's waiting till the very end to say, I can't afford you, then there could have been more conversation that could have happened there in the beginning. All right, again, listen back to the exact words they use to answer your questions to pick up hints and how to present your solutions. If they're talking about I can't afford it early on, then you want to expand from 1 offer to 3, a low, medium, and a high. And again, when I say low, medium, and high, make sure even that low is one that you would be happy to deliver, right? So in your pricing, you want to make sure that the lowest one requires the least amount of interaction from you, right? You are charging for your time. And so you want to make sure that even if you're only charging $97 for something, you would feel okay about offering that. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the closing process, because this is the second point where people absolutely stumble, because now you're really trying to get the sale, right? Presenting the proposal is one thing, because now you're in sales mode, but closing the deal is when most women entrepreneurs start to hyperventilate and cycle backwards and want to get out of the conversation because it feels confrontational. So take a deep breath, and this is where you will need to lead the closing process. You're the expert, so take the lead in this part of the conversation. If you wait for your prospects to take the reins, you will be disappointed. So one thing that may escape you is that you have to ask for the sale. If you're waiting to be invited, you'll wait forever. So you proactively have to ask for the sale. So if you presented one option, this might sound like, once you've presented the option, this might sound like, does this feel like a good solution for you right now? And again, right now is important, because not only does someone have to have a need for what you're doing, they have to have a sense of urgency. They want this now. You know, if they're just fishing, you've just wasted a whole bunch of time. Maybe yes, maybe no, but you want to discern if they're ready to go forward now. And that's why you say, after reviewing the options, that you feel like, what's the best, is this a good solution for you right now? That right now phrase is important. If you presented multiple options, you can ask, after reviewing the options, which feels like the best choice for you right now? So you're not saying, are you interested? You're saying, which one would you like to move forward with? And again, your tone counts. It is, It's open, it's inviting, it's comfortable. Remember, I don't know if you've been to some of my other Facebook Lives, but when pricing is an issue, or pricing should be, you should be so comfortable with your pricing that it just rolls off your tongue. So if someone says, what's the weather today? You can say it's 78 degrees. If someone says, what's your pricing for 6 months worth of strategy sessions? You can say it's $6,000. Same tone, same ease of delivery. You have to be that comfortable with your pricing. If you're not, you need to revisit it. Let's talk, or just go in front of the bathroom mirror and practice so that it does roll off your tongue. Ginger, you had another question. Hold on. No, you didn't. Okay, sorry. All right, so if you've offered multiple options, you might say, after reviewing the options, which feels like the best choice for you right now? Another question I get is, should you offer a payment plan? If you're offering something that's more expensive than $100, right? Should you offer a payment plan? If you don't offer it up front, then wait for them to ask. In fact, I would say don't offer it up front, and have an answer ready and be able to implement that. So when you say that 6 months worth of sessions with me is $6,000, period, that's where I would end the sentence. If they come back to you and say, do you have a payment plan? Don't make it up on the fly. Make sure that you have something in place that you can consummate right then. So you want to make sure that you're ready for that question and you've already set it up in your back-end systems. Be ready to implement. Don't offer until they ask. One of the more expensive coaching programs I signed up for, gosh, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, was a big chunk of change. And in the end of my discovery call with the coach, I knew I was going to buy in. I knew it. And I said, I'm in. And she asked for my credit card. I gave it to her, and she right away signed me up. And I said, oh, is there an installment plan? And she said, oh, you didn't ask for that. I've already rung you up. Now, was that right or wrong? I don't know. But I should have said right off the bat, do you have an installment plan? Because she was doing what I'm telling you to do, which is to not offer it unless it's asked for. So again, that puts you in the driver's seat where you're all ready to move forward. So again, you have said, after reviewing the options, which feels is the best choice for you? Or does this feel like a good solution for you right now? And at that point, this is the hardest part. You just have to zip your mouth. Don't fill in the silence is going to happen. I guarantee it. They're not going to have an answer right away. Your job is to just sit in the silence. They have to process what you've just presented to them, right? This is all new. This is not new news to you. It's all new news to them. So you don't want to sell past the close. I love that phrase. So you've already presented your offer, and now you want to shut up, because they're going to be thinking, am I ready to make this commitment or not? Where am I going to get the money? Or where's the money going to come from? Which credit card or which bank account or what have you? They have processing to do. So if you sell past the close, or you're saying, you get this and you get that, and don't forget about this, you're interrupting their flow, and you need to leave them time to process. Plus, they feel hustled, and you do not want to break that rapport that you've worked so hard to build. Okay. Ginger, you say, avoid words like I typically charge. Yeah, you want to go out with your pricing, right? This is what I charge. And you want to say it without embarrassment. You want to say, this is the cost to do business with me. Feel fine about that. So another thing that may happen, I mean, hopefully they're saying, yes, 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 let's get started. Here's my credit card. Let's get going. However, many times what happens is they say, I have to think about it. So is it okay to ask? Ask them. Is it okay to ask? Is there any additional info you need so that you can make your decision? Or if they say, I have to check with my husband or partner, Is there any additional info that your husband or partner might need to know to help make that decision? So is there anything that you haven't uncovered with them? Is there anything that they haven't asked you about? Is there any more territory that has to be gone over before they're comfortable enough to say yes? Be careful here. You're not trying to convince anyone. And if I could, that's in big lights, right? You are not here to convince anyone to buy what you're selling. You just want to be sure that you've answered all their questions and that they are clear on the offer. Frequently, objections are really a lack of clarity, right? So think about that. Your job is not to convince anyone, because I guarantee once you launch into convincing mode, you've lost the sale. If it was ever going to happen in the first place, you are there to make sure that they are clear on the offer. So if they say, again, I have to think about this, and you've ascertained that there's nothing further that you can answer for them right now, this is a key one also. You want to say, great, about how much time do you need? Let's schedule a circle back call so that we can talk about your best next steps, and decide if whether or not we're going to work together. This is gold. So don't ever leave a sales conversation open-ended or hanging. If someone says, I'm not sure, I have to check with my husband, I'm going to have to think about it, they haven't said no yet. And so what you want to do is to get on your calendar right then and there, a circle back meeting, I call them, or a circle back call. It might be 24 hours later, it might be 2 days later. The closer it is to the original conversation, the more likely you are to have a buyer. So you don't want to say, let's check back in a week, because everything you just talked about will go out the window it will go out of their mind. So maybe 48 hours is the most I would ever say. The next day is better. If they really do have to talk to their husband, they're going to do it that night, right? Hopefully. And then you can get back. So what you want to say then is, let's get our calendars out right now and schedule a follow-up call. This is gold, because you'll know a couple of things. If they schedule a call and they don't show up, that tells you something, right? They weren't really interested in the first place. If they schedule a call, they might show up on the call and have further questions. I have done second and third circle back calls as necessary. They thought of more questions. They did talk to their husband. As long as they are willing to stay in conversation with you and keep the conversation up, you should be willing to continue the conversation with them up to a point. I mean, again, if we've got Chatty Cathy here who is just want to get you on the phone because she's lonesome and just wants to talk, you can, again, you can decide what that feels like. But I've done prospect calls discovery calls where I've had a second and a third circle back, and it was very appropriate. So you decide, but you want to make sure that circle back call, at least the first one, is on the agenda. If they don't show up, you've got a couple of choices. And this is what I typically do. I typically get back to them and say in an email or text, however you were interacting with each other, geez, we had a call. Geez, sorry you missed the call. We had a call scheduled for yesterday at 2. Sorry to miss you. Would you like to schedule another one? And again, if they ghost you on that one, that's a very clear answer. If they do, maybe something came up, validly. So someone else just popped in. Hey, Facebook user Pam from Georgia. So nice to see you. Pam, you're coming in late, so be sure you listen to the replay because you'll get the whole flow. So glad you're with me today. Thanks. Where was I? All right, circle back calls. Okay. If they say no, if you've presented your offer in all of its glory and your options, and they say no, again, my sales training way back when was to go for the jugular and to continue to hammer. I don't do that anymore because I don't think it gets the sale. So be polite and gracious, and you may say something like, Thanks for the time you've given me today. I'd love the chance to earn your business in the future if anything changes. Open door, open door, open door. Have a bit more chit chat so that the prospect feels comfortable about the whole interaction. You never know when they might come back to you. So again, you don't want to make them feel crummy about not saying yes or self-conscious if they do want to come back. That's the worst thing. Many people aren't ready the first time they interact with you, even if they've had a discovery call. Some of my best clients had 2 or 3 discovery calls with me before they came in for the whole package. And I want to be sure that they are comfortable anytime they come back. The worst thing is if they're self-conscious about the fact that they did say no earlier or, whatever. So you want to make sure that the door is open. You're so glad to talk to them again. So just make sure your phrasing is that. Have a bit more chit chat so the prospect feels comfortable about the whole interaction. You never know when they'll come back. So I have found that for every prospect I've talked to, it's not unusual for the other 50% that I haven't closed to come back at a later date, right? So you want to leave that door wide open. You want to make sure that that comfort that you've created in the call is what they come away remembering, and that you are available at any time. So, yes, you're planning on watching the replay. Good. I'm great. I'm glad, Pam. Now, if any of you have questions on sales, if you would like more help with sales, this is an animal. This is a part of being an entrepreneur that many, many women are not comfortable with. And I'd like to offer you some sales training if that's something you would like. So, as I said, schedule a call with me, a discovery call with me. We can talk about where you feel your needs are around this issue. And let's see if I can't give you 2 or 3 or 4 sessions to help you bridge the gap between I don't like sales to I love sales. And I'll put that link in the description above the video once I file this. Well, anybody have questions? If it isn't obvious, I love sales. I love them. And because, again, I feel like I'm providing an opportunity for someone to achieve what they want to achieve. I'm just the conduit here, so if I can help them, if I can be of service, I'm so happy to do it. And the discovery call is just finding out how you can be of service. And incidentally, hopefully it leads to a sale, right? So that's the frame of mind that I have when I go into a discovery call. Any questions, Ginger or Pam? Anybody have a question? For people who are watching the replay, drop your questions in the comment section. I'll come back later. I see no questions. So you guys, thank you so much. If you think of questions, drop them in. If you would like to call me for a discovery call so we can work on your sales strategy, happy to help you. So thanks for joining me today. That was 45 minutes. That was long. Great information, Ginger says. I love sales too, and you gave me great new advice. Good. I'm glad I could add to the excitement. So thanks for joining me, everybody. I'll see you in the group. Take care. Mwah.